Hey everybody, JJ here, back again with another Wednesday of Zoom Networking. Our guest speaker today is just an amazing young man. He's one of the rock stars in Pace Morby Sub2 community. Yeah, and I say it all the time. One of the big gold nuggets we take from what we do as real estate investors, not just the education, but it's a relationships we make, the people we can call our friends. Because the deals that we work on, guys, the deals come and go, but it's the relationships that last forever. And I'd like to introduce this young man. He's a really good friend of mine, my good friend John Hurt. John, how are you?
Good, brother. How about you, JJ?
I'm good, brother. Hey, really quick, just to let folks know if they don't know already, where in the country are you located?
I'm here in the heart of Los Angeles, California.
There you go. There you go. Hey, I talked about networking and building relationships. We got to hang out recently. Well, one,
Yeah, it was 2 weeks ago.
I met you because when I went to Squad Up Summit, you actually reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you need a ride from the airport?" I was like, "Dude, totally." And that's how we met. And you just sort of came to my rescue and we hung out and got acquainted. And that was just the start of spending more time. And a week and a half ago, we went to the Chargers game in Los Angeles.
Yeah, no, it was a great time, man. Thanks for having me out there.
Yeah, no, it was absolutely my pleasure. What do you think of SoFi Stadium?
Oh, man, it was amazing. Like, probably, I've been to a lot of stadiums, and this is probably like top three. I
There
gotta
you
put it down.
go.
Yeah.
And of course, we had the VIP seats, we had the VIP lounge, unlimited food, locked the stadium. But the best part of that really was getting to spend time with you and Sonny and Mike. So I don't want to take too much time. I want to get right to your topic today. Your topic today is what is a lead,
Yeah.
right? And before we get into that, I just want to ask you a little bit about yourself. What did you do before you became a real estate investor? I mean, was it on the landscape for you in high school? If not, what did you do? Did you go to the military? Were you in retail sales, fast food? What was your teens to your 20s thing like? And was real estate even on the landscape for you?
Yeah, man. So I came from a second generation immigrant family, right? So all we knew was you put your head down and you just grind. So, ever since I can remember, I've always been working. I think I got my first job when I was like 12, right? And ever since then, I don't remember not working, right? So saw my parents, grinding it out. I'm like, you know what? I gotta do something. I gotta help, make a living for my family. So, you know, started working. When I graduated high school, I was like, I gotta get out of this. So I'm originally from Fresno, California. And if you guys don't know Fresno, California, uh, it's not a really nice place to be at, right? Not a lot of opportunities. It's kind of where I think Fresno's kind of known as like the meth lab.
Oh,
So
really?
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So not a great place. I was glad that, I was brought up right. My family took care of me. Um, and when I graduated high school, I was like, I gotta get out of this place. This is not somewhere that I could thrive in. So graduated high school, like this 2 or 3 months after I packed up my bags and just came out here to Los Angeles. I was like, I don't care what happens. I think I had like $500 in my pocket. I was like, I'm gonna figure it out. Right. Came out here, uh, enrolled into college. I was like, I got to do something. My buddies there, they kind of took me in, gave me a job, and then I worked 3 jobs, went to school full time. Um, you know, going back, immigrant family. My parents wanted me to become a doctor, so I
Yeah.
went to school for pharmacy. Um, 2 years into medical school, I decided it wasn't for me, so I dropped out. But before that, I just, didn't drop out because I didn't like school, but I was an entrepreneur. Like I always knew that business was for me, and I've always hustled and, know how to make money and all that stuff. So, um, yeah, I started like a entertainment business where we manage music artists and we, you know, put together their concerts, their tours, and we toured all around the country.
So,
So it was like a nice little niche.
so let me ask you. You and I met through Sub Two.
Yeah,
So, at what point in time did you actually transition? What led you to real estate? How did the light bulb go
yeah,
on? What
yeah.
put you in?
So when I had that business, right, I was more on the side of like raising capital and getting sponsorships for our concerts because you got to have capital to put on a show. There's expenses that need to be paid for. So, while I was talking to these, high profile individuals like doctors, lawyers who, was sponsoring our shows, um, you know, I always asked them like, hey, what's next for you? And they always said, oh, we're trying to get to real estate. I was like, very interesting. You spent 15 years of your life, going to school and, becoming, a professional like lawyer, attorney, doctor, and now you want to get to real estate. So a light bulb just went off in my head and be like, if these guys are getting into real estate, you know, why do I just jump in?
Yeah,
So um, I departed from, that business and then I came across Pace Morby on YouTube.
I was going to ask, how do you find
Yeah.
pay?
So it
YouTube.
was on a wholesale hotline, the show that they did. Like before this, guys, like I had no clue, no idea what real estate was, like nothing, right? I just knew you work hard, you save up your down payment, and you go buy a house. That was
Now, let
pretty
me
much it.
ask you, when you met Pace or when you got into Sub Two, when you found
Yeah.
the wholesale hotline, I would imagine you got it shortly thereafter. How long ago was that, and how many people were in Sub Two at the time? Because now there's 14,000 people.
Yeah. So when I ran to Pace, I kind of booked a call with this team for step two, right? But I was like, dude, this guy sounds like a scam. Like, there's no way, like, you know, it really is what it is, right? So I was like, there's no way I'm dropping this much cash on a stupid real estate course, right? So I didn't sign up for it. I think it took me like 6 months, and they kept like hammering me. And they're like, you know what? Pace actually has this other mentorship. It's called Gator. You know, it's half the price. Why don't you try that out? I was like, you know what? I could lose half that. Like if I lose that money, I'm not gonna die. I could, so it's not a big deal. So I joined the Gator community. I was probably one of like the first 100 people that joined. I was like the first wave. Uh, did it, got into a first like I jumped right in, right? Like I'm always that guy like, hey, graduate high school, jump in your car, take off, start that business, impulsive, right? So jumped right in Gator, didn't even go through any courses or anything, started networking, got a lead, lent money on it, and of course it was a bad deal, right? Who would have known?
Yeah. Hey,
Uh
let's transition a minute,
yeah,
um, because we could talk so much about everything, and before we know it, time's going to fly by. Um, you just mentioned leads, right?
yeah,
So how did you decide? Not that today's call is going to be about a lead, but obviously leads are important to you. It's what you've
yeah,
chosen to talk about. We have some new people on the call. Maybe people are watching on YouTube right now, and weeks and months down the line, and they're brand new to real estate. What is a lead?
yeah.
What is a
So what
lead?
is the lead?
What's a legitimate lead?
So guys, I don't know if you guys know, but I have a few like I saw we do wholesale, we do private money lending. I see a bunch of leads that comes my way. And a lot of these leads, they're not leads at all, right? So like for me, and what I want to kind of talk about is, yeah, what is a lead? People, you could go through the creative Facebook group and whatnot, and you see all these, people posting up like deals and whatnot, right? So for me, like these are all trash. I'm sorry. They're not leads. Uh, people are probably new. Uh, they probably they made a phone call, made an offer, and then the agent is probably like, "Hey, if you could get it at this price, we could probably get a deal done." And then so what do they do? They're like, "Dude, I have never done a deal before. I just want to get something under contract." They put it under contract, and then they probably put it out there for another newbie, jumped on it, and it's a bad deal, right? Everybody lose money or whatnot. So for me, like And what I kind of want to talk about is how do we vet these deal or these leads so that way you know if it's actual lead or not, right? And it goes back to what you always teach, JJ. Like you got to network, you got to know who these people are, right? So when you network and if JJ brings me a lead, that's like my kind of first wave of like, okay, this actually, it could be a lead because I know JJ, I've hung out with JJ, and JJ knows I don't play around. I don't have a lot of time to waste, right? So if he knows that it's not a good deal, he's probably not going to send it my way. So, one thing is, yeah, with the for lead generation, you can network and you get leads that way, right? I know that a lot of you guys here are in real estate, right? So I know you guys see a lot of people like, hey, call agents, you know, uh, go and network and whatnot. But who here, I just want to get a gauge. Who here put a one in the chat if you're actually trying to wholesale? Like you're here because you want to wholesale and you need to make money. So we have a few people here, right? Okay, so are you guys okay if I just focus on lead generating for like wholesale? Is that okay with you guys?
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah. Okay. So when you start a wholesale business, everybody's just like, hey, pull a list and just start making calls, right? Like I don't know about you guys, but my time is valuable for me, right? I don't have a lot of time to be calling, 50, 100 people a day. So,
Joe, I hear about these list things all the time.
yeah.
Buy lists, buy lists, buy lists.
Hmm.
And I know you're going to get into it, but I'm just going to say please continue because I love the fact you're addressing the list because some people say it's the way to go, some people say it's not the way to go. But don't mean to cut you off, but yeah, let's hear about these lists, brother.
Yeah. So a lot of these lists, if you're saying, okay, you go to a third party provider, right? And you're looking at PropStream, Batch Leads, there's a few of them out here like PropWire. So these guys are all third party data providers, right? So when a list is uploaded to the county is the direct source, right? And then these third party data providers, they get the information from the county. And it's going to probably take 2 to 3 weeks for the data to get transferred from the county to these guys. And then they skip trace it. And then from there, it takes another 2 to 3 weeks. So you're already all in 6 weeks, right? So that's a lot of time wasted. And then by the time the list gets to you, you probably have like 1,000 other wholesaler already calling this list, right? So when you get to them, they're like, oh, another one, another wholesaler. Somebody's trying to lowball me, right? So it wastes a lot of time. So what we've, figured out is that we got to go into the niches, right? When you find or when you try to pull a list or get a lead, you need to go to somebody who's really motivated, right? And how do you do that? You got to go pull a niche list. So that's either going to be your divorce, your pre-foreclosure with the auction, uh, your probates, somebody that needs to sell their house, right? So how do you get those lists? You got to go straight to the county, right? Go to your county recorder's office and then be like, hey, I'm, an investor in the area, looking to, pull a pre-foreclosure list with an auction date, right? Because we want motivation. So you want to go and you want to get the data right from the county and be like, hey, when do you guys usually get these lists, like a probate list or a divorce list? Like how often do you guys generate these lists? You guys go find that out and then you guys, go and just talk to the county clerk and then have them like, hey, I want to pull this list. You might have to pay for it, depending on the county you're in. But go in the niches, guys. Go in the niches, pull, you know, good data where you could actually have a motivated seller when you call them, they actually need help.
I've heard that before, and it
Yeah.
just makes a lot of sense. The county has these lists,
Yeah.
and we can go buy lists from people, but the county has this. I'm just kidding. And I've not done it, but imagine to me it'd be a little bit more active because it's an active list the county's working.
Yeah.
If you get that, so it makes sense, and the county's going to have different types of lists, is what you're saying.
Yeah. So kind of what I want to try and get at, right, is that if you want good leads, like you want to go direct to the source, right? Don't waste your time. I mean, yeah, it's going to take a little bit more time for you to, drive to the county's records office and like, talk to somebody and get the information, but that's that's the data that you actually need, right? Yeah. If you're a gator here, right, or if you're a lender and you need to raise capital, okay, now you're already at the county's records office, or maybe just say you're not, right? But a lot of times people are saying, John, like, how do you raise capital? Like, where's the money at? You know, like biggest bottleneck, right? So same thing, guys. If you're at the county's recorder's office, there's a list that you can actually ask them for, where you can just be like, hey, local investor in the area, I would like to pull a list of private money lenders who have lend money on deals, within like 6 months. So how do you find that list? So you have to go and do your research and be like, okay, who's done a flip? So we're basically looking for like investment property that's been flipped in the last 6 months, right? So then we're gonna go in there and we're gonna pull a list of property that's sold within like the last 6 months. And then in the recorder's office, guys, they can actually pull you a list or show you like because you have a promissory note, right? And that promissory note is gonna show you who the lender was, if there was a JV agreement, and like who lent on the deal, who was the fix and flipper, and all that stuff. So if you go to the county's records, you could pull this list and you could call those guys and be like, hey, I actually have a fix and flip going on in the same area that you lent on 6 months ago, right? Like, would you be happy or, would you be interested, if I send you the deal breakdown and, see if you're interested in letting on the deal, right?
Gold,
Or, yeah.
gold.
So for you Gators, and you're like, how do I find money? How do I, raise capital? That's how you do it, guys.
That's amazing. That's amazing, man. And I just thought you had a great personality, or fun to hang out with. Here we got a question here. I'm going to bring one of the guys on to ask something here. Mr. Rob Howdy, brother. How are you? You are on with John Herr. What's your question?
Hey, John, how you doing?
Good, brother. How about you?
I'm doing good, man. I'm in actually SoCal myself, over in Pasadena.
Nice.
So,
So am I. I'm here in South Pasadena.
oh, right on, dude. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we're gonna catch up soon. So,
Yeah.
it's all good. So, I really appreciate, man. This is just, you just blew my mind. Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, so I appreciate you for doing that, because this is so simplistic. It's just putting in the effort to just go do it.
Yeah.
But man, I mean, I really just want to tell you, thank you. Thank
Yeah, of
you
course,
very,
man.
very much.
Yeah.
Because wow, this is incredible. You just, I don't know what else to say, but thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, man. I'm glad that I could be a resource for you guys.
Yeah, and I thought I could be more mouthy because I cannot shut up on a daily, but you just blew me away.
There you go. There you go. Hey, Rob, brother, thank you so much for the compliment for John and joining us today. And it's always good to see you.
Yeah, thank you. And from now on, it's John, I heard you.
John, I heard you. All right, Brad, thanks a lot, man.
Yeah.
Here we go. Mike Williamson, you're on with John Hurt. What's your question?
Thank you, John. I appreciate this. This is really good information. So, who specifically at the county's office do you ask to see? Like, who specifically? And maybe it's different in every county and every
Yeah.
state.
It's usually you just go to the county's clerk and just, ask them. But like, hey, this is who I am. This is what I'm trying to do. Could you just guide me? And those gals are there, they're the nicest people on earth. Like they're there to be helpful, they're there to be resourceful. So if you just go in there, talk to somebody, like, you'll they'll help you figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I didn't know
Yeah.
who specifically to ask for. So, thank you for that information.
Yeah.
And while we're on the horn here, when you go to the clerk's office, guys, for whatever city you're at, in your phone, big tip, smartphone, you want to create a contact in your phone for the county clerk, phone number, address, And then in your iPhone is related people. And when you find out who the person is at the desk that you're talking to, write their name down. In case you
Yeah.
ever call back, you now have a name you can ask for. If you ever go back again, Kathy, glasses, Janet, the red hair. So that when you go back in, you're going to recognize, hey, Janet, how you doing? Remember me? I'm Mike.
Yeah. And the thing is, right, like maybe get their email and then maybe send them like a Starbucks gift card. Because maybe next time you don't have to go there and maybe she could just email it straight to you.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't hesitate to look for every opportunity to build a relationship for anyone that can benefit your business. Mike, thank you so much for joining us today, my friend. Mr. Deshaun Davis, you are on with John Hur. What's your question?
What's going on, John?
What's going on, man?
My question is, what is the best way to work with John Hur on the selling side?
On the selling side. So this is a hard question because I do a lot, right? I think when people come up to me, we just had a meetup last week. If you guys came, thanks for coming. We appreciate you guys. But a lot of people came up to me, they're like, hey, like, what do you do? And I was like, that's a hard question. Right? It's like I kind of do it all, but specifically like on the sales side, like break that down for me.
Okay, so I was just talking to Zoe this morning, right?
Yeah.
And I was telling him like people are sending me stuff
Yeah.
and like giving us my underwriters team or whatever. And I'm just like, okay, we want to make sure that these are actually deals, they're not leads, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, I'm building this team out and I'm like, I want to work with the people who are already on teams like you, Zoe, and Jason and stuff like that, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
so what's the best way to make sure?
Yeah.
'Cause I know you guys are so busy, right? I'm like, okay,
Yeah. We get like probably 20 to 30 leads sent to us a day.
right.
And like it's not humanly possible for us to go through all of them.
Right.
We all have businesses and we all have lives outside of this. So that's why we do our Zooms, right? Like we host a Zoom three times a week to teach you guys, how to like how to underwrite, and how to make sure that these leads are actual deals before they get to us, right? So I say, hey, send it to me, but when you send it to me, you got to have a breakdown of like the deal. If you just send me an address, I probably won't look at it. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Right. If you send it to me and you're like, hey, I have this wholesale deal. This is the ARV. This is what the purchase price is. This adds this value. This is the scope of work. And you break it down for me. And it's easy for me to actually look at it and be like, and determine to see if it's actual deal, if I should deep dive into it,
Right.
then cool, all day. Right. That's why we have a portal, right? If you got a deal, you scan it here. And then you gotta, so how our portal works is if you can't fill out all those questions on there and then provide us that, it's probably not a deal and it's not going to come to us. Like you're going to have to go do a little bit more work, a little bit more research before we'll look at it.
And you guys, I don't know, do you specialize in any, like, you're like, is there any area where you're like, do not send us these deals. We do not mess with these deals. Commercial?
No, so
or whatever.
the good thing about our team is that like we all specialize in our own little areas, right? So no, if you have a deal, send it to us. Businesses, we're heavily looking at buying businesses right now.
Okay.
But yeah, send it our way. If we're not interested, we'll guide you or we'll let you know who to go talk to.
Nice.
Yeah, we're not gonna just leave you hanging.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
John, thank you so much for joining us today.
Word.
So, John, I'm going to ask, you got the QR codes behind you, the one that says "Got Deals." Is that the one you'd want people to scan that QR code to contact you?
Yeah, so if you have a deal, right, or you have a lead, go ahead and scan that. It'll take you to our web form. You just fill that out, and then like I said, it's just gonna ask you for property information, kind of details like a breakdown, so that way when it comes to us, it's easily identifiable, and we could tell if it's a lead or just a deal.
And I want to give a little bit more visibility to what you and your team are doing. Where do you hold your calls, your events? When do you hold them?
Yeah.
And I'm assuming, knowing that we're somewhat in the same circle here in Southern California, who are the folks that you're working with? Are these names that you can mention? And
Yeah. So what the team and I are trying to put together, it's a white glove service, like wholesale and lending business, right? Where if you're new and you have no idea where to start, we're gonna provide you with all the tools and all the data, and you just have to go take action. Like literally it. Like, because we thought back, right? Because guys, I've only been doing this for like a year and a half. Before this, I wasn't into real estate. So when the team that's got together, right? So on the wholesale team, we got Grant Walker that was on the call, amazing guy. He's a closer in our team. We got Darren Yee, a transaction coordinator. We got Kevin Van Beek, who is a freaking genius at like integrator. Like this guy could build softwares like no other. Um, and then on the lending side, we got Jason Park, the baddest of underwriters you could
yes,
find.
he is. Yes, he is.
Yeah. We got the best networker, Zoe Guzman. That guy can network for days and raise capital like no other. And then we got, Darren again. And then we had John Lee, our credit guy. So we have a solid team, guys.
You have a
Like,
very solid team right across the board.
yeah, like,
These are all guys in Southern California area.
yeah, we're all in Southern California. The reason why we did that, guys, was I feel like we all need to be close and like, be able to like be in the same time zone. And like, if we're on calls all day, every day, right? And we eventually want to get an office where maybe you guys could, come in the office and, see what we're doing and make calls or, do all that. I just want to be more personalized and personal.
There you go. Hey, we got a
Yeah.
couple more questions. Let's bring a couple more folks in here. Tyler Irons, brother, how you doing? Tyler, welcome to the call. You're on with John Hurt. What's your question?
Awesome. Thanks. John, how are you doing today? Appreciate your time. My question is, so you have to physically go down to the county clerk and get these records, correct? There's no online solution? Okay.
There is,
Okay. There is
Yeah.
online solutions.
but I'd rather you starting off. I want you to physically
Mhm.
go and figure it out.
Yeah. I mean, I
Because
think,
if you do, like, if I say, hey guys, here's the website and go do it, you're probably gonna go do it, but like you're not gonna make the effort to, make the calls or skip trace or whatnot. So if you actually go and try to figure it out, you'll be more motivated to actually like, because if you're here in LA, it's gonna take you like 30 minutes just to get to the county courthouse.
right. Yeah. I mean, and that was my question too, because, I'm in
Yeah.
Nebraska. So, I mean, counties are pretty rural sometimes. So, I mean, I can drive 10 minutes to my county, but the next one might be 40. So that was my question. But it's kind of two-part question. So the next part of that is what's all included on that list? So like how much detail can I get on, those county records specifically, on my side, that private money lender list? Like,
So you're gonna have to do a little bit of homework, right? Like
Mhm.
you're gonna have to get that information and then you're gonna have to go through it and then you're gonna have to filter it out and then you have to get a skip trace. And then from there you have to reach out to these people. Like this is a very simple business, but it's not easy.
right.
Like you're gonna have to put in the work,
Right. And so when you're saying go through the information, what kind of information will there be? Like, will I be able to see, the JV contract? Will I be able to see the deal amounts that they did
Yeah.
on previous lending and stuff like that?
Yeah, you'll get all that information.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's
Yeah.
great.
Tyler, thanks for joining us, and I hope you're enjoying your first call with us.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Chris, you're on with John Hurt. What's your question?
Hey, how are you? So I'm setting up this kind of like driving for dollars with Jason, Jamie, and Juliet, and so I understand. Can you my meeting? Anyways, I want to make sure because it's really, I know everybody's time is very valuable, and I want to just make it to where it's worth it for them to make a trip out here. So what type of information, if I'm going to be doing like a driving for dollars type thing, would be stuff that I really need to get taken care of ahead of time so that I can make sure that, I'm not wasting anybody's time.
So you're gonna go drive for dollar, and then you're saying, "Hey, John, when do I bring this deal to you?"
Well, it's more like, okay, so I brought up in the last JV that, like there are these dilapidated motels in a area near me, and
Yeah.
said I wish that they would, somebody would just buy them up and fix them up or something like that. And Juliet's like, yeah, I want to do that. I'll go. And then Jason says, oh yeah, I'll go with you. And like we'll come up there and we'll drive around. So I've kind of assembled like a team of people that are in this area that know that market, Adult Protective Services, Department of Behavioral Health, former APS people, hospice nurses, stuff like that, so that they could show us these properties and give them an idea of what the need is in this area. But I just want to make sure that, I'm going to drive them to these locations. Should there be extra information that they need before they get here, or should I just take them there? They can decide, they'll see it and they'll know what to do.
Yeah. So what I would do is I would probably get as much information as you can, and actually like have kind of an idea of what you want to do, right? So that way you could just find those certain people that can help you and then plug them in.
Okay. What do you mean, like the people that know the area?
Know the area and know what you're trying to do.
Oh, okay. I have them already. We're trying to set, get the date ready. But as far as, they don't know numbers, they just know addresses. Like, oh yeah, I know that place and it's pretty run down and I've had tons of trouble over there. That would be a good place. Or I actually have like, 3 or 5 clients in that place, and I know what they're paying, and I know it's really not worth it. So if you guys were to be able to fix it up, you guys could get the same thing. And I've called APS and other agencies to reach out to find out what other community resources there are. Department of Behavioral Health has a fund that they assist people and give extra. I know Los Angeles is sending up homeless up here, and they're paying like $3,000 to $6,000 for homeless housing. I know vets, they have veterans aid and attendance, so they could work, and even in that area they have the veterans home. So
Okay, I think you gotta narrow it down.
I
Okay.
see.
So you gotta figure out what you want to do with these places, and then from there backtrack, right? Like I said, go back to the niches. Like pick one and be like, hey, if I get you this property, what needs to happen?
Okay.
Yeah. Once you figure all that out, if it's just structuring the deal, raising capital for it, getting the deal closed, structuring it, like we got you. But you just gotta like, hey, what am I gonna do with this? Once you figure that out,
Do I need
Yeah.
to find a point of contact for the property first?
yeah. hmm
John, if I could throw in, and obviously I'm not as knowledgeable as you are, but there's a couple of things like Samantha Miranda, who's part of my team. This woman could do more with an iPhone than most people do with a freaking 27-inch computer. But I might say some of the things you might want to consider, Chris, are finding out what the comps are, finding out when these properties last sold. See what the neighborhood's like as far as crime rate, things of this nature. See what businesses are coming into the area. These are things I'm thinking of, John. Are these some of the things you think
Yeah.
might be
So
beneficial?
so you're in the area, right? And then you already have a lot of these ideas. I would just go to the person who's like in charge and be like, hey, if we get these buildings, like, what are you able to do with them? And then go talk to them. And then if they're interested, then you'll go and like take it down and figure it out.
How do I find out?
Because if you just come to me right now, right, like I have no idea what these are that you're talking about. Like if you bring me this deal, like I was like, I don't know. But if you come to me like, hey, John, I have this rundown hotel or motel. There's 6 units.
Mhm.
You know, either, could we structure it where we could wholesale it, or we could, find a buyer for it? Then I'd be like, perfect. Juliet is your girl. Go talk to Juliet. She turns rundown motels into affordable housing or something like that. Right. So you come to me with something like that, I know how to further help you. But if you just come to me like, hey, I had this idea, I was like, yeah, I don't know how to help you right now.
Oh, yeah, because
No.
the point, all of it was like affordable housing, because that's,
Yeah.
Yeah,
that's
Chris, we're going to move on because we get into a long coaching call right now, but that's not what we don't want to do. But John's given you some basics about you need to find some background information. I would continue talking to other investors in your area, in the live meetups groups you're going to. Stick around for the breakout rooms after this call. See who other successful investors in the digital virtual community, meaning my group as well as your local group.
right.
I'm going to tell you, build your relationships because your assistance is going to come by being visible. And sitting in the background, just watching, you need to start getting out, posting, commenting, doing videos, letting people know you exist.
Okay.
Become part of the 10% of the visible community. As you become visible, opportunities will come to you. So, but John also has Let's Connect up there on his thing. We're going to ask him later at the end of the call the best way to reach out to him. So later on, I'm sure you've got a lot more questions, and at a more opportune time, he'll be able to either help you, direct you to the people that can. This will be our last question, Mr. Ronald Castillo. You are on, brother. What's your question?
Hey JJ, thank you for having me. Sorry, I'm working out here too, but quick question to John Her. I hope to see him on Saturday. But I was trying to explain EMD to my agent,
Mhm.
and if there's no wholesaler involved in a transaction or a deal,
Yeah.
um, could you just EMD to the actual buyer?
So let's just say they have a property under contract. They're actually the end buyer. They just have to move some funds around, and they're like, hey, I have this property under contract. I need to submit EMD within, 24 hours. Could you just put in the EMD, and then, I have a 7-day inspection period. That's when I'm gonna put in the funds. So you put it in, you
Perfect.
structure your fees with them, but like, hey, I'll put in the EMD for you for 7 days. And once you have to put in at the 7th day, or I'm going to cancel the contract and you're going to lose out on the deal. So that's how you're still secure. But
Okay. Yeah.
if it's in California, it's a mutual release state. So you're going to have to get this signed off from both the buyer and seller.
You know,
But yeah,
Thank you.
reach out to the top tier TC.
John, part of his question I wanted to address is he said the EMD directly to
The end buyer.
to the buyer. Do you not want to put that into escrow? I mean, do you just send that directly to the person?
No, never.
Yeah, I was going to say.
You don't ever transfer money outside of escrow.
Mhm. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, that was my question. I hope to see you Saturday. Thank you, JJ, for
Yeah.
for the
Ron,
interaction.
I think I might see you Saturday as well.
Thank you.
So
And thank you, Rob. He's the one that introduced me to you.
there you
And
go.
Troy, I still have to connect with you. Sorry, I've been a little busy.
Okay.
I'll see you guys.
All right, bro. Thank you so much. John, man, you just dropped a ton of gold nuggets. Great value. I think it's pretty cool when I get to hear my friends talk about what their wheelhouse is, as opposed to football, But
That was good too.
that was definitely good. And hang on to your hat for Lakers season, brother. We got some more games
know.
around the corner. But I want to thank you for coming on. I got two last questions for you. If people do want to get a hold of you, they have questions watching on YouTube weeks and months down the line. What's the best way to reach you? Would that be
You can reach out to me on my Instagram. My handle is John Hurt Official, or you just call me directly, guys. My phone number is 323-926-1895. And it's on my background here. So
please reach out to him, please follow him, please support him on Instagram. And with that, my very last question to you is, I have a networking group. It's all about, I talk about networking all the freaking time. Thus, Zoe and I are good friends. We talk about networking and, it's about surrounding ourselves with people. from your perspective as an experienced investor, someone who's started this 1.5 years ago, now you've built up a successful reputation within the Southern California industry, if not across the country. We have groups such as Sub2, Gator, Astro Flipping, Seven Figure Investor. So many different real estate groups have people coming every day. Some are brand new investors, some are experienced investors, often coming now learning how to use Facebook because every group has a Facebook community. Although they may have used Facebook before, they're now using it as a business tool for networking. What is the importance of networking and leveraging social media for the success of today's real estate investor? How important is that?
Yeah, I'll just end it with this. I've never done a single deal without another person. All my deals and leads came from somebody else. I didn't do this myself. I tried to do it myself for the first 6-7 months, and I didn't get anything done. It wasn't until I met my team and I started networking and put myself out there so funny thing is, last year when Pace bought his Escalade, I flew out to Tennessee to meet up with Kevin Cho and Jake Villaret, and we did a cross-country road trip. And from that road trip, I did one of my first deals from somebody random that I met in New Mexico. And that's what just jump-started this whole industry for me.
There you go, brother. There you go. Hey, John, thank you so much for joining us today. If you guys are watching on YouTube right now, please like John's video. Please put in the comment sections what your takeaways are. If you guys are watching right now, please go back to the YouTube channel. Please like my past videos. Please put comments in there. That helps support us on what we're doing to bring you more content. Again, you want to follow John on Instagram. It's John Her Official. JOHNHER Official is his tagline for Instagram. If you guys want to connect with me, this is my QR code to go to my website, register now for the group. If you want to follow my YouTube channel, all my guest speakers, come click this to go to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel. And above here is my Instagram handle. Again, follow John on Instagram, subscribe to my group, look for me, join us for more great videos on Flip Side Up with JJ. And John, we'll see everybody out there in the world of virtual networking, right?
Yep. Thank you guys. Appreciate you, JJ.
Thanks, guys.